Live, we have 4 simple rules. Number 1, we don't discuss politics, ever. Number 2, this is not a religious channel, and while you might hear people say, God bless you, or I'm going to pray for you, or I wouldn't have gotten through this without my faith, that's fine. What's not fine is to say, my God is better than your God, or here's why you're not getting into heaven. It's not going to fly. Number 3, we believe wholeheartedly if you can't control your tongue, then you can't control your life. So while on board, there's not going to be any cursing in the live chat, period. And number 4, there is no room for mean people on the lifeboat. Because we discuss very sensitive things from people's past in our group setting, we got to protect those people. The only way they feel confident and comfortable discussing those things is in an environment that is free of trolls and mean people. So if you're a mean person or you're a troll, we're going to block you for life. And if your account happens to be less than 24 hours old, we're probably a little suspicious right from the word go. Why? Well, because there are people in this world who enjoy being cruel solely for the sake of being cruel. It's not going to fly here. But if you're here because you're trying to get sober and live your best life, then you might find that the lifeboat is just that, a lifeboat. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and we will see you on deck. Welcome to the Lifeboat Live. We have 4 simple rules. Number 1, we don't discuss politics, ever. Number 2, this is not a religious channel, and while you might hear people say, God bless you. Hey everybody, I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and you're on the lifeboat. And on the other side of the glass is my bobbleheaded partner, Mark Wages. We're glad that you have chosen to join us here tonight on the lifeboat. It's going to be one of those good ones, people. Yep. I have a really, really good feeling about tonight. Before we get rolling on today's subject, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my day. And there's some of it, parts of the day, certainly dovetail into the subject matter. And there is a moral to the story, as often there is. But you know what? I forgot to turn this thing off for an hour so that we don't have to hear
ring-a-ding-ding.
Yeah, everybody and their brother will chime in. Like, I won't hear anything all day, and then
all of a sudden,
yeah, and it just starts going. So, I'll tell you a little bit about my day. I had a really good one. So, for my 9 to 5, right, for my normal occupation, I had to run some watches down to Carson City, Nevada, and then I was picking one up for a repair as well. And while I was off doing that, my mom was at my house and had some friends over, some lady friends that, one from church and a couple of local, people from the neighborhood. And a couple of people stopped by the door to visit me and announced loudly as my mom answered the door that they were looking for me and that they were from Parole and Probation, which is always a lovely title to have somebody yell out to mom and all of her friends. We've talked about how, people can be really proud of you. They still don't want it on a billboard, and this most assuredly put it on a billboard. So while I'm down in Carson City doing my thing, I get a text that says, the people from Parole and Probation are at the house looking for you. And I'm going to be honest, like I've said so many times before, I'm not doing a thing wrong. For the first time in my life, I'm not doing anything wrong. I got nothing to worry about. But, when a police car pulls behind me, my heart races. And I get that feeling. And it's just, that's been, the story of my life. It's so long that it's a difficult thing to break out of that mindset. And I instantly started to stress out. And I went through all of the checklists that I tell all of us here on the lifeboat to go through, right? I had my business partner with me, so I talked to him and looked for a little perspective. First I started giving it to myself, and then I asked for, his opinion, and he said,
well, you did say that, your guy retired. So maybe this person is just coming by to do the introductions. I mean, heck, you've never met her, right? And I said, yeah, no, I never have. And I really tried talking myself into it. However, it came in waves. As the perspective really started to work, I sat there and I said, well, of course that's what it is, right? This person's never seen me. They don't even know who I am. So obviously they got to stop by the house every once in a while and check the thing out. That's what they do. That's what they're supposed to do. So I'm sure that that's what it is. And then 5 minutes later, I'm going, I wonder if there's something else. Like, I wonder, maybe, I don't know. I did something in 1977 and they're just finding out about it now. Like, you just thought, the rabbit hole of doubt and the rabbit hole of stress. But it was really a great example of exactly how life works. And I'll tell you what happened later, because it's kind of a cool story. But for right now, it doesn't matter. Because right now, what we're talking about is stress, right? And if I said to every person on the lifeboat, every man and woman on the lifeboat, and I said, what causes stress in your life, right? If I pose the question to you, what causes stress in your life? I'll bet you that the things that people tell me would often pop up on more than one person's list, right? They would say things like, well, the relationships with my significant other causes a lot of stress, job, right? My boss, my work, all of these different things, finances, right? How much I'm paying for these things, the inability to get baby food, right? That's stressing out a lot of people right now. All of these different things, what's going on in the world, all of these things would be on the list of what is causing stress. I think we can agree, right? Trying to stay sober, trying to cope with all of the stuff that is going on in my life without the use of a controlled substance. And for so long, that's been the coping mechanism. So right now, that would be a cause of stress for a lot of people on the lifeboat, right? Yeah, wrong. None of these things cause stress. For real. They're what we will list as the causes of our stress. But the cause of stress is not what happens to you, right? The cause of stress is how you choose to react to the events in your life. That's what causes stress, honestly. Even if the event is stressful, have you ever just seen one of those people that is just ludicrously calm under pressure? Like hand grenades start flying around and they just seem to calm down. I'll be honest, that was my dad, right? Growing up, that was my father. And after he passed, I remembered saying to so many people, it's sad that you never got to see him at his best, because the smallest things in the world could stress my dad out. If you left the cap off the mayonnaise jar, he would, go, what are you doing? You let the cap off, as a fly's going to fly in. Like that would stress the man out, just small little stuff. He seemed to have, problems with patience. But if I called him and said, you know what, I'm in really deep trouble. Let me tell you what I've done, or let me tell you what's going on. And just the kind of stuff that should make a person crumble. My father would just get calm and calculated, and he would just go into this, okay, here's what we're going to do mode. And he never let stress interfere with important decisions that had to be made. And it always used to blow me away. I mean, for real, he was at his best when the world was throwing hand grenades at him or at me or anybody around. And it left a lasting impression. I fall very short of this, people. I'm not good at it, but it's what I strive for. I want to be one of those people that's unflappable. I want to be one of those people that, when the world dishes you out lemons, you laugh at it, Maybe I'll get around to making lemonade. Maybe I'll just stare at them. Maybe I'll juggle the things and giggle, But whatever the case may be, I don't ever want to be the person that allows something like this or something like what happened today to drag me down. Now, give you a little perspective. It's about a 45-minute drive to Carson City. And then when somebody buys a watch, very oftentimes it's a process. It's probably not like buying other things, because the people that buy watches very often are collectors. They're people that really, really dig watches, and it's a passion very much like it is for me. So the whole process of buying it becomes part of the story of the watch, and they get very into it. And they want to tell you stories, and they want to hear stories, and they want to tell you about the first time they ever saw one of these watches. And it's, you don't want to rush through that because it's kind of rude, and they're handing you a pile of money, and this is definitely part of the experience. And it's from time to time, and we get it repaired as quick as possible.
I think it's back.
Okay, hopefully we are back in business, and I'm not sure where we left off, but what I was basically saying is you go through this process of interacting with someone. So when the time came for him to hand me the watch that needed repair, I already knew that I had to get back for these people from parole and probation. So this is kind of in the back of my head. And he pulls out this watch and he goes, "You ever seen one of these?" And I said, yes, I have. I've seen a lot of those. And he said, "Have you ever seen one in solid gold?" Because normally they're not. And we went through hearing the story, and it's a very important story to this man. This thing was given to him by his grandfather. And he said, I wish I knew exactly what year he got it. And well, by turning the watch over, I could tell you what year he got it, because there's a code that if you're into watches, you can read. So I turned it over and I said, 1962. And he just lit up, you know what I mean? And I kept thinking to myself, I'm not going to let the stress in my life destroy this man's experience. Like, this all is part of it, and it's kind of a big deal. And I let myself get in the moment. And I think that there's a lesson to be learned in this. If you got stress going on in your life, if something is weighing down on you, if you let that permeate every part of what you're doing, it's just going to eat you alive. But if you can get into whatever it is you're doing as a distraction and a diversion for the 15 to 20 minutes that we talked about this particular timepiece, and the repair that probably needs to get done, and the history of the watch, and it's an interesting watch because it doesn't have the normal movement. It actually vibrates from a tuning fork, which makes for an interesting conversation. And we went through all of this and built a decent relationship. But I stepped outside of that building where this man's office was, and the wave came on again, right? Now I had to go see these people, and the stress started to kick back in. And I'm telling you, people, the process of going through the steps to deal with stress, right? Calming down, getting a deep breath, thinking about perspective, and then past perspective, getting to that step where I say, what can I do about this situation? Is there something that I can do to make this better? Or is this completely out of my hands? And this was one of those situations where I thought, you know what, there is something I can do. When I meet these people, I am very nicely going to explain to them that my previous officer did nothing, refused to let me travel, wouldn't tell me after booking airline travel. That man didn't tell me I could go on vacation until 3 days before the departure date. I mean, how do you book airfare that way? You got to roll the dice. What if he had said no? I'm out thousands of dollars, right? So I'm explaining, in my head, I'm going through all of these. So I'm going through all of these different, checklists of what I'm going to say to this person and planning out all of this, right? And I go through that whole process. For me, the lesson was, you might have to do this every 8 minutes, because it was a 45-minute ride home. And I found out about this as I was arriving in town. So I was about 45 minutes with the client, 45-minute ride back home. And on the way back home, I had to send a text message saying, this is when I will be at my house. And by the way, my mom's guests will still be there. So this is going to be embarrassment take 2, right? The second round of embarrassment for my mom. And Lord, I have been an embarrassment enough to my family. It's always painful when I get to do it again. In the old days, I don't know that it bothered me much, but now it's like having my guts pulled out. I don't care what people think about me. I don't. But I don't want people to judge my mother because of the things that I've done. And let's be really honest, society does that, right? Her friends are probably thinking that, well, if she beat him more as a kid, he probably wouldn't have done this. If he was tougher disciplinarian. And we all know deep down that that's horse feces, right? Truthfully, most of the time, the reason that we do drugs is because we chose to do drugs. And yeah, maybe they get a hold of you and you become an addict, and maybe there's some underlying reasons or whatever, but you made the choice. You've got to own it. All right. So I'm driving back and I'm realizing that this meeting is coming, and to distract myself from the stress, I'm going through exactly what I intend to say to these people. And I pull up and I don't have time to run upstairs and sort of buff the room up, and I don't have time to really get the office in order. And I'm not going to lie to you, people. It's difficult to keep an office like mine in order, even under the best of circumstances. You get 600 or 700 watches lying around in different levels of being worked on, and it just kind of looks like somebody might have blown something up. It's just kind of how it works. It's that kind of a situation. There's springs and dials and levers and winding crowns, and it just kind of looks like a mess. And I knew I wasn't going to have time to deal with that. So I walked outside on the porch and I had a watch in my hand, and I was just giving it a polish. And I thought, with any luck, I'm going to be able to head these people off so that they don't come in and do the embarrassment thing. The car pulled up, and a man and a woman got out. The woman is my new officer, and she walked up and introduced herself, and she said, "It's a pleasure to meet you." I said, "Thank you." I said, "My last probation officer, when I met him, the first thing he said to me is, 'Wow, you're a real effing piece of S.'" So that was the first thing out of his mouth. She said, "You got to be kidding." I said, "No. You know how much nicer it is to hear it's nice to meet you?" I said, "That's awesome. It's a pleasure to meet you too." And she said, "Well, and I hope we didn't stress you out or embarrass your mom." Can you imagine that? Like, that's the first thing out of this woman's mouth. And I go, I'm a little stressed out. I said, but I think it's just because I spent so much time screwing up in my life that this is always going to be a little bit stressful. And she said, "Well, I really don't want it to be." I said, "Can I tell you a little bit about what's going on in my life?" She said, "Sure." I said, "Okay." She goes, "What were you doing down in Carson City?" I said, "Selling a couple of watches. I got a watch business." And I broke that down for them and talked about that for a minute. And I said, "And I want you to know, I've never been late for anything. I've never failed a drug test. I've never been missed a appointment for drug counseling. I have been perfect. In the eyes of P&P, I've done nothing wrong." And she said, "That's awesome." I said, "Thanks." She goes, "You've never failed a drug test?" I said, "No, not one." And she said, "Well, how long have you been taking them?" I said, "Well, since last year, in beginning of July." And people, it's about 21 of them a month is what they can give you. It's a crap load of drug tests. And it's, you call and then you drive over. I've told you many times how that works. And she said, "Well, you don't have to take any more of them." Huh?
Wow.
I said, "How's that?" And she said, "I don't see any reason to continue to test you." She said, "What we will do instead is we'll call you every once in a while and say, 'Hey, today is one of those days. Can you come in here?' Or when we come to see you, because we're going to actually stop by," which the other guy didn't do ever. Right. And she said, "And we're not stopping by to tear your place apart or look for anything. We're going to come by to make sure that you're doing all right. And if you need help, we can help you."
Wow.
Right? Like, holy what? So I said,
That's like
"Well,
how
there's
it's
something
supposed
else."
to work, isn't it?
Right. Right. I mean, really? And she said to me, "I want you to know I'm not so-and-so." And she used my last officer's name. And I said, "Am I allowed to say thank God to that?" She said, "Absolutely." So I said, "Well, thank God." I said, "Now here's the deal. I said, as my dad was dying, I wasn't able to go and see him because this man wouldn't fill out the paperwork. And I said, I made a promise to my daughter that I was going to be at her graduation, and I'm going to be there. And it would be really awesome if you gave me permission, but I'm just keeping it real. I'm going to be there because I'm not going to blow that promise to my daughter. So please let me go so that I'm not doing anything wrong." And she said, "Why wouldn't I let you go?" And I said, "I don't know. It's never really worked before." And she said, "No, you go down tomorrow and you fill out the paperwork." She said, "When is it?" And I gave her the date. And she said, "Great. Call your daughter and tell her you'll be there."
And
Now,
talk about the breath just getting blown right back into you, man.
right?
I mean, wow.
Truthfully. And then they started to ask some questions about watches and Rolexes in particular, because anytime anybody seems to ask a question, it's about Rolexes. And I was wearing one, so I got to sort of talk about what she was talking about by illustrating the watch that I had on my wrist. And she said, "So, oh, you wear one?" I said, "Well, this was for my dad. I'm not out blowing huge money. This was an heirloom." But we had a really nice conversation. And I said, "I'm assuming you guys want to go and search my stuff." And she said, "We do need to take a look inside." And I said, "Okay." And I didn't sigh or do anything else. And she said, "And I'm sure that you're stressed out, that this is going to be an embarrassment on your mom." I said, "Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you." So the guy that was with her said, "Tell you what, I'll turn my radio off so that won't make any noise, and we'll just follow you. If they're in the kitchen, maybe we could sneak up the stairs quickly." And I said, "Sure." So I took them up to my room, and guess what the first thing they saw was, people? They saw a bed that was made.
There you go.
For real.
Heck yeah.
For real. And you know what she said to me? She said, you would not believe how infrequently we see somebody who made their bed. And I said, if you knew how often I tell people that they need to make their bed, you would be astounded. And and I mentioned that, admonition that I do all the time on the lifeboat. I said, you know what? It is how you're supposed to start the day. And if you do, your day at least starts off in a
productive way.
Yeah, in a productive way. Let me say something to Roxanne Mathis, because I caught this out of the side of my
Go for it.
eye.
I just seen it too. Yeah,
Roxanne Mathis says, I am not sober. I'm drinking. Maybe one day I will have the strength to stop. Does not mean I cannot give support. You're absolutely right. And it doesn't mean that we can't support you, right? If you're new to the lifeboat and you've never heard this, we will give you the standard lifeboat speech. And it goes something like this. A day may come where you're ready to put that down and quit. And when that day comes, we are going to be there to support you 100% of the way with love and support and everything we can do to help. Until that time, we're going to be here to love and support and help you in any way that we can, because it doesn't matter to us. Everybody here, sober or not, had a time in their life where they weren't quite ready to put it down yet. It doesn't make you any less of a human being, and it doesn't make you any less welcome on the lifeboat. Right? It's like I'm blown away when I hear people say they got kicked out of a meeting or they got kicked out of, heard a story yesterday, heart-wrenching, about a girl who was kicked out of rehab. And I don't want to bum anybody out because the details are horrific, but she walked out of there and took her life in a way that was just god-awful. But beautiful girl, had everything to live for, and it's like going to a hospital and walking into the emergency room and saying, hi, I'm here because I feel like, I'm dying. There's definitely something wrong with me. And having them say, oh, you're sick? Well, we don't want you here. Right? I mean, it's literally that stupid, right? You go to a doctor because you need help with something that's wrong with you. And if you come to the lifeboat, it's to start exploring the possibility of perhaps living a chemical-free life. And you know what? Maybe you explore that possibility for a year. Maybe you explore that possibility for the rest of your life and decide that it's not something that you're going to do. It does not stop us from caring and loving for you. And again, we're going to be here every step of the way.
Yeah, and we say this often too. When you walk through the door here, this isn't semantic stuff, guys. This isn't something we just say because we can. When you walk through the door, you're family. Just immediate. It's not a question if you are. You're 100% family when you walk. Just come here. I mean, and we used to use a word called lurking, and we don't say that anymore. We use observing, and it's okay to do that too. It really is. Because I know that everybody, including myself, when I go to other channels, I don't always chat. I get it, right? Especially like Trish and who else drives? Oh, Miss Hermit drives. Guys, I mean, that's just not smart. I don't care. You don't need to be texting and stuff all the time if you're driving. There's reasons, right? Is what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
So if you just want to come and observe, you can, but we encourage you guys to talk. I mean, obviously, because I think we get more out of it. And when I go to my group sessions, when I get my medicated assisted treatment, I had to learn that, right? I was going to get what I put into it. And it, and that in itself, and Tommy's talking about the stress part, and it definitely is something that I think all of us can understand at some level, and especially those of us that had either tried recovery or been in recovery, because just being in that life after recovery, it does program you in a way that you get kind of nervous when things go bad, because you don't want to have those things to pull you back into that life. And I think that's really where the nervousness and stuff, and it just adds, that nervousness just adds like a heaping pile of poo onto the stress level that's already on your head. And Tommy just hit it out of the park when he said, hey, I stopped and I started doing what I tell everybody else to do. Me and Tommy forget that sometimes. Sure. Right? I mean, we're out here telling everybody else, hey, you really need to try this, but then we forget to do it ourselves. So that lets me know that Tommy's in a really good place, that he actually thought that. Now, I will say this too. Would he have done that if he hadn't been here on the boat every day? Maybe not. I don't know. The chances are lower. That's a definite thing. But, I liken that to standing in line trying to get your script filled and just waiting. Because you had, for me, if I had an issue last week getting my script, the day I have to get my script the following week, I am nervous all day long. You know, it just really does. It really hits me like that. And it's kind of the same thing, I think. And we have to learn how to deal with that. And Tommy just was laying out the tools for you there. And it definitely works, guys. It really does.
It's funny that you say that too, Mark, because someone asked me today about the lifeboat. And they said, basically, it was the same question, different subject matter, but the same question. Do you think that you'd be where you are, currently if you weren't doing the lifeboat? It came up because I'm now going to be in a position where I don't have to drug test every single day. And if you had told anybody that I would have made it far enough through probation to be gone to random instead of daily, call-ins, nobody in the world would have believed that. And their question was, well, do you think you would have gotten, to that point if you weren't, on the boat? And I thought about it for a brief second and said, truthfully, I have no idea. But you know what the good news is? I will never have an idea. I'll never be able to answer that question because no matter what happens, I'm going to continue to do this. Now, is it, what came first, the chicken or the egg? I don't know. And I really don't care because this procedure that we do here every day, right, is such a big part of who I am, and where I've gotten to. This, this crew of people that has just become family, and become the people that that I lean on, through all of this. I don't intend to give that up, for any damn reason. And I had another person say to me, are you worried now? And I said, what do you mean? While you got that hanging over your head, you're pretty much guaranteed, that you're not going to use. But now that you got a little bit more breathing room, doesn't that make you nervous? And I don't know, man, maybe it's just that I've been on the boat too long, but I feel like it's scarier this way, right?
Yeah.
Like seriously, I don't feel safer this way. Like, oh, I got a little room to play with. What I got now is, definitely could be tomorrow. Definitely could be tomorrow, right? They could call anytime they want. They could show up anytime they want. They could show up at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
They can show up anytime they want. Where, before there was this routine and this schedule. No, to me, it hasn't changed a damn thing.
Yeah,
I do want to say this because I just saw another one, Mark, that I think is kind of the big deal. And this goes to the family and it goes to just what we're talking about, right? It really does. Especially, Roxana was saying, I'm here and, I'm still using and maybe someday I'll have the strength or whatever the case may be. Swiss Vapor, who's been on the boat a really long time, said he relapsed today on morphine. And I want everybody to see this for real, because this is a huge thing. Maybe somewhere else, this would be treated slightly different than it would be treated at the lifeboat. But the way we look at this, that is a leap forward that is absolutely amazing. I mean, what is the coin of the realm in addiction? It's lying, right? What is the number one sign of addiction? It's denial, right? For Swiss to come here and tell the entire world, who, by the way, can't see him, right? We can't see him. We don't know what's going on. All he's got to do is show up here and go, life's good. Great to see you guys, right? Everything's groovy. To show up and say, hey, man, I relapsed. This is, as far as I'm concerned, a massive jump forward. This is why you treat people the same, whether they're sober or whether they're using, so that when the process begins to happen of someone getting sober, they don't feel like they gotta hide a relapse. Because as we've said on the boat a million times, there is such a thing as a good relapse. A relapse that you learn from is a great relapse. A relapse that makes the next go better is a great relapse, right? The only time a relapse is a waste is when, number one, you don't learn from it. And the best way to not learn from a relapse is to lie about it. right? Hide it. Don't tell anybody. And then what happens is guilt comes in. When you start hanging around the people you care about, you think, oh man, I'm a fraud.
Yeah.
I'm a phony. I'm a liar. And all of that stuff starts weighing on you. Swiss, I'm proud of you, man.
Yep.
I really am. Number one, you quit a ton of substances. This was not like, morphine was the only thing that you were addicted to.
Yeah, Swiss has
right?
a big story here, guys, for those that don't know, just so you know.
Yeah, I mean, an amazing story, and the number of drugs that he has successfully quit, and the change that he has undergone. Hey, let's just make sure, Swiss. Let's just make sure that this is a good one. So, and we're gonna squirrel down the rabbit hole here because this is kind of important.
It is. I agree.
Let's go through exactly what it means, right, to turn a relapse into a good relapse. Here's a learning experience. So let's say you're Swiss.
Yeah, Swiss.
I'm still in pain,
Yeah.
but I can't stop taking till I'm high. Well, that's normal, truthfully. I mean, that's the nature of who we are, isn't it?
Just be safe, okay?
Yeah. Please be safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number one. Well, yeah. Number one. Please don't mix anything else in with it. Right. We all know that respiratory depressants. You don't want to stack one on top of the other. So, and don't take so much that it's going to be threatening your life. But please. Sorry, I just dropped something. But the important thing is this, Liz. I realize you're in pain. Right. That's a given. So we can. That's not one of the reasons here because you've been in pain the entire time we've known you. But for the majority of that time, you've been successful in not using this. Now, people, before anybody gets angry at myself or my bobbleheaded partner and sends us emails, we are of the firm belief that opiates have an absolute place in society, that they are 100% needed in many cases to treat pain. It becomes a problem when it starts to treat pain other than physical pain, when it starts treating emotional pain, spiritual pain, right? That kind of pain, then we have an issue, right? And that's something that you can answer. We can't. But since you're trying very hard to quit this, let's assume for a second that you probably shouldn't be taking it, right? If that is the case, then you need to ask yourself, what was the driving factor this time? And I'm not busting your chops, bud. But if you say pain, I have never known a day that I have known you that you were not in pain. So let's not go with that as the reason. Start looking at the other driving forces that made today's pain so that you had to do it, right? Now, if the physical pain is so bad that you can't say no to morphine, then you should be on it. Honestly, if the physical pain is so bad that you can't cope, I don't want anyone going through life saying, I'm just going to get through this. I don't care if if my quality of life is ass, I'm going to do it anyway because I refuse to take a drug. That's no way to live. And pain management has its place. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, and as hard as it is to say this, and it does suck to say something like this, but that is a conversation that you need to talk to your doctor with.
No question.
And if you don't feel like you're getting results from your current physician, keep looking until you can't look no more. And I get that that's a hard thing because I've been through that. Guys, I'm fused 6 vertebrae in my neck and 2 in my lower back and all kinds of bad medical problems. That's how I got addicted to begin with. But you said a minute ago, Swiss, that you take the drug and you can't quit till you get high. Well, that's all of us. None of us would have been addicts unless that was the case.
Right.
We couldn't stop. And that's the whole issue here. And I know, man, it's rough. I get it. But I promise you that with help of others and with help of just don't stop trying is what I'm trying to say. Don't focus on, and Full Hope said something too earlier that I want to touch on, that, we talk about relapses, and relapses, yes, a lot of times they end up bad for a whole lot of reasons, especially if you've been clean for a while and then you relapse, because then your tolerance is just shot. You think you can take it.
Sure.
And a lot of people die that way. So keep that in mind, guys. And so you're right, Full Hope, it does. But what we can't do is keep our focus on the 80% that relapse. We got to keep our eye on the 20% that don't. And eventually you'll come to that side of the wheel. You really will. You'll get to that 20%. Some people get there a lot faster. Me, myself, and I, really strong support system, right? That's why I have never done that. I don't say that too often because I know that that sounds like, oh, you've never, like I'm out here just on my high horse. No, but if it hadn't been for my support system, I know that I would not be sitting here right now. So I get that part of it. So just understand that, when we're talking about these kinds of things, first off, talk to your doctor. Second, don't focus on the negative parts of any of that. Go to the positive part. Have to. Focus on the negative, that's what you'll end up being. You'll be part of the negative. My coach used to say, dress like a golfer, you golf like a golfer. That's kind of what you got to do.
A lot of truth to that. Daniel said, sorry guys, that 7-7 comment was my cat walking on the keyboard. You know what? I thought I would break up because this is a lot of what we talk about is heavy stuff, but the visual of your cat walking on your keyboard just cheers me up, because you people see, I won't say her name because it wakes her up, but my other partner, right? You see her when she's unconscious. When she is awake,
Squirrel.
she's hell on wheels.
I can say it. Squirrel.
And if I've got my keyboard out or anything else, it is her favorite place in the entire world. She wants to lay on it, play on it, roll around on it. She sees it and just thinks, oh, that's better than the basket. And but look, I've seen a lot of comments from people who said, you know what, I drink, for the pain. And other people have said, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And I've said this before, right? If you're doing drugs, it's because of pain. I know people that snort coke because of pain. I know people that do meth because of pain. There is something in your life that is the driving focus of why we do drugs. And it is always pain. It's not always physical pain. Sometimes it's spiritual pain. Sometimes it's emotional pain. It's things from our past that we can't cope with. It's things in the current that we haven't really learned to cope with. And drugs become a coping mechanism. Make no mistake, that is drinking to kill pain. One of the things that is a dead giveaway that you probably are in trouble, right? And I'm not judging anybody, people. I was a 7-gram-a-day heroin addict. Trust me, I'm not judging anyone. But if you're drinking, right, to cover pain, you're in trouble. That's not a normal behavior, right? Normal in the air quotes, right? In the normal world, somebody goes, they get 2-3 beers at a party, they drink a couple, or they have a glass of wine with dinner, right? That's kind of normal. I remember in college, I got in trouble for drinking underage. I was not yet of the legal age. And they said that I had to go to a 12-step program, right? And there was about 20 other guys that had been in trouble, and they all had to go too. And I remember we were all sitting there. We're all college kids, and we're all jerks. Everybody's trying to be funny, everything else. But one of my friends, they were kind of taking it serious, and the guy said to him, do you drink to get drunk? That's a legitimate question, right? Yeah. I mean, when you do it, are you drinking to catch a buzz, or are you just having a couple of glasses or whatever? And he was trying to be a wise guy, but he said, no, I do 17 shots of tequila because I'm thirsty. But it stuck with me, right? For all of these years, that was something that stuck with me, because the truth of the matter is, when you start thinking about how some people, consume alcohol, look at how an air quote normal person does it. And if what you do is so far off the norm, right, then chances are you've let it get, out of control. I was talking to a guy yesterday, and he's, I can't remember what he said, 20 years? He's got a lot of sobriety. But he said the last time that he drank, he said it was McCormick vodka, right? The cheap stuff comes in a plastic bottle.
Yeah.
And he said he had taken the top off of it. He had taken the top off of the McCormick vodka and was holding the bottle up and squeezing it. And he said he got about 5 squeezes in, solely so that he could get rid of the shakes. I want everybody in the lifeboat to hold on 1 second. If you just called me, I have answered the phone, but I am doing a video right now for my YouTube channel, The Lifeboat, and I will be on this for about another 20 minutes. If you'd like to call me back then, I could talk to you, but I am literally live, nationwide, worldwide, as we speak. So call me back in about 20 minutes. All right? Thank you. Maybe that'll get him to stop calling, because that was about the 5th attempt. And I noticed he got real quiet, too, so maybe they thought, I had him on speakerphone.
Maybe.
Sorry.
Maybe. Yeah.
I thought that was fun. You don't get a chance to do that too often. When my daughter calls, I always threaten to put her on the air.
Can I say something to Swiss here?
Absolutely.
Swiss, you said a minute ago that your kids noticed something a little different about you today, and that upset you and made you cry. That in itself lets the whole world know that you're in a lot better spot than what you think you are. Because you actually noticed that and you cared. All of us that were in that life for any length of time wouldn't have cared. We wouldn't have cared at all, period.
No.
We would have just been trying to go back to get whatever we had, and it would have been a big roller coaster. So you're in a better spot than probably what you're kind of realizing. And I get what you're saying. You're taking the morphine because, it helps the pain, and you couldn't stop tonight. You went ahead and got high, and you figured out you were taking it again to get high. That is, and I hate to say this because it's a cliche thing, but yeah, when you're taking stuff, I ain't even gonna say it. I just ain't even gonna say it. So go ahead, Tommy. Go ahead.
You know what? Here's what it. Yes, Swiss Vapor says never cold turkey without a professional, please. I want to say something else too, because we're talking about stress and coping mechanisms, and you're going through the list. Daniel says, my 2 cats and my dog help me cope. I cannot begin to tell you how much my little fur ball is such a coping mechanism for me. Honestly, I can just sit down with who and spend 15-20 minutes, giving her the rubs behind the ear, or just petting her, playing fetch with her, any of the things that I do with my CAT, and I can feel my respiration slow down. Like, it honestly has almost like a drug effect on me. It really does. There is something to be said. Jesse made a great comment. He said the only reason that he got through, the time when he was homeless was because he found a lost dog about 4 months into that somebody had abandoned. And I can completely, without even hearing the entire story, if you're out and you're homeless and you're in society, you feel abandoned.
Yeah.
You come across an animal that someone else abandoned, and all of a sudden it's like the two of you against the world. And I get that. I really do. I can truthfully say that there have been times in my life, especially in the old days, where a cat saved my life, literally.
Oh, yeah.
And there were times that the only reason I didn't do something really stupid was because of a cat. One day I'll tell that story because it's kind of heavy. But
I want to say this to you guys. Anybody that's sharing that stuff tonight, Swiss and who else was talking about it earlier that they were having issues too? Was it? I can't remember who it was.
Well, it was it was one of the new people here. Let me back up. It was Roxanna Mathis.
Yeah, Roxanne. Yeah, she's not new, but yeah, exactly. I get you. But listen, guys, thank you for trusting us to come here and do that. It speaks again once again to you guys on the crew, and thank you for doing and being who you guys are in there. Me and Tommy can only say and do so much, and the real help comes from that. I go to a medicated assisted treatment, and the place is called Groups. Why is it called Groups? Guess what? That's the focus. The focus isn't necessarily on the medication. I mean, that's a part of it, but the true recovery comes in your mind and in your head. The physical part is a big part, especially at the beginning. Okay.
Yep.
But the mental part of it is really where it's at. And if you can work on both at the same time, eventually that physical part goes away. And then you can work on the mental part. And if you really look at it, it's almost like everyday life for most people, because if you're not messing with addiction or fighting addiction, you're fighting something else in your life, right? I think most people fight things their whole life. It's just how we dealt with it ourselves wasn't the right way.
Look at read Full of Hope's comment and look at the emojis.
Okay.
That is my favorite emoji in the world. I love that emoji.
I'll read
I
it.
really do.
I'll read it
But
aloud.
there was also a comment from Swiss Vape, and he said, Swiss said, and I thought I was strong enough, was a statement that he made. Let me tell you something, Swiss. Make no mistake, you're strong enough. You may not be able to control morphine, but that's got nothing to do with strength. It doesn't. It's got nothing to do with strength. You know what strength is? Strength is coming here today and telling the world that you relapsed. Strength is coming here and saying, I saw a look in my kid's eyes that tore my heart out. You know the strength that it takes as a man to come here and tell all of us this? That's strength. Don't confuse the ability to control drugs with strength. I'm sorry, that's crap.
It is. I agree.
Because that's not what strength is. It's got nothing to do with it. If it came down to strength, I promise you, we wouldn't need a show, right?
Yeah.
Strength is okay for people who are normal. We're not, right? We have a predisposition that means that strength isn't an issue. That waved bye-bye a long time ago. You're never going to be strong enough to control something that can't be controlled, right? It's like saying, I'm strong enough. I'm just going to will that tomorrow the wind does not blow from the east. Well, if it does that make me weak? No, right. Because it's impossible to make that. Look, if you're an addict, it is impossible for you to control a substance that you have been addicted to. You will never get to a point where you can control it. That's the definition of addiction.
Yep.
Truthfully, the inability to control a substance, the rest of the world can control, and we can't. That is the definition of who we are. That's what puts all of us in the same boat. And it ain't got a lick to do with strength. Strength is living a life without that drug in spite of the fact that it's impossible to control.
Right.
That's what strength is. Strength is looking in the mirror and going, I have a problem. That's strength. Don't get it messed up. Please.
Exactly.
I love you, man. I really do.
Yeah.
But do not get it messed up.
Yeah, don't get that messed up.
You're a strong person, maybe one of the strongest I've met. So don't sell yourself short with that stuff.
And I would say this too, guys. No, you said exactly what needed said. Guys, everybody that I've known that has attacked addiction recovery, or alcoholism or whatever, with that whole strength mentality,
yeah,
they end up doing what we call white knuckle sobriety.
That's right.
That's exactly what happens to them. They're white knuckled their whole life. Miserable people. Nobody wants that, guys. I mean, honestly, you know your own situation. We know a little bit about what's going on with a lot of you guys, and obviously we can't know everything, but if you're white knuckling or not. You know that. You're just holding on, and you're really just trying to push through, right? We hear that a lot. You got to break those chains. Everything I'm saying there is going back to what? Strength. It's not what it is. It's almost more of a, gosh, I don't even know. It's almost like we need to hug and not worry about the strength. It leads to the love. The love is where it's at. That's where the true healing comes from, is from the love. And you really got to grab a hold of that. And yeah.
Daniel, I have faith that you are going to put down the bottle. May not be today, may not be tomorrow, but you're going to put down the bottle. And that dog, she's not going to shoot you the look anymore. Don't think that they don't. He said that when he starts to drink, the dog shoots him a look. Oh, I get that. I'll tell you briefly. I think I've told the story in here before, but my first wife and I, my boy was off with my youngest was off with his grandparents. My daughter was not yet born, and we seriously had the conversation about just ending it. Like we couldn't keep going on at what we were doing. Unfortunately, the next day I sent her to rehab, but that day we were pulling out the equipment necessary to make everything stop. And the cat that I had at the time, came in and put her paw on the piece of equipment that I was trying to use. Literally, Like every time I reached for it, she put her paw on it and looked at me like, "Are you kidding me? You two idiots!" I mean, it was. I'm not even joking. Like I looked at my first wife and she goes, "That is the weirdest thing I have ever seen." I'm like, "You gonna tell me this animal doesn't know exactly what we're thinking?" I mean, she just parked right there with her paw on this thing, looking at us like this, like what a couple of morons, you know. And that cat, the cat put us back on the right path. You know, she's
crazy?
long gone to kitty heaven, but she did wonders. So, yeah, Daniel, the day is coming where that dog is going to look at you with nothing but admiration in her eyes. I believe that.
And whether you guys believe in God or the universe or whatever your guys' personal beliefs are, you know, all that has a way of showing itself whenever it needs to. You just got to be open to see it. And and that's really where it's at, guys. You know, a lot of problems can be fixed that way. But again, now when I say, you know, I do want to clarify. You know, I know we talked about the strength and all that, but you know, we still have to put effort, right? You know, don't use that as a cop out either. Is what I'm trying to say. Don't use that as an excuse because it can very well easily be used as that. But the way that we explained it is really how you should approach it. Not from any other kind of weird angle or anything like that. But
it's not going to be willpower,
right,
that gets you over the hurdle of getting rid of substance. That right there has led literally millions of people, right, to their death. That I can do this. I'm stronger than that. I've said this, and I've said it so much that it's now a lifeboat cliche, and I don't care because I'm going to keep saying it. But the only way to win a fist fight with your drug of choice is to not get in a fist fight with your drug of choice. That doesn't make you weak. It makes you strong.
Yeah.
You know, the strength comes when you say, this stuff right here, I'm not strong enough to, right? I can't control this. Strength starts right then. That is the start of the rest of your life. When you say, I cannot control heroin, right? That was for me, you know, the realization and even saying that crap out loud, you know, I can't stop. Once I start, I can't stop. And I don't care what it is. It's such an evil substance and it had such control over me that I promise you people, as bad as this is to say out loud, if they said to me while I'm using, everybody in your family, right, we're going to take them all. We're just going to take them. We're going to get rid of them. If you do the next one, people, I wouldn't be able to stop. Do you understand that? Right. The only way that I can make sure that I don't ever get back there is that first one. If I never do that first one again, then I am strong, right? Then I'm strong. That's how I beat it. Though I don't get into that fight. I don't challenge it. I don't say, let's see if I'm tough enough. No, right. I'm tough enough because I'm not going to even pick it up. Never going to do the first one. That's what tough is. There's no such thing as being tough enough to beat it.
100, man. I mean, well said. And the only thing, you know, what I would add to that is me and Tommy both were athletes as younger people, right? And one of the keys that a lot of people don't know if you've never been an athlete, but this works in other realms too, that you have to know your limitations to be the best person or best athlete you can be. And knowing that you cannot be around that stuff or be doing what you're doing, or that right there is a huge step. If you know that, then you can control it. You can go away from it. You can at least try to avoid. And you know, sometimes that isn't possible. We get that. Life happens. But what I'm saying is you have to understand where you're at in your sobriety. You have to understand all of that. And really only you're the only one that can answer that. And you know how you feel. Trust your gut. Trust what you feel, right? If you feel like you're screwing up, chances are you're probably screwing up. Anyway, go ahead.
I love that Swiss puts swear word in parentheses because if you haven't been on the boat a long time, a very long time ago, I had to I said to Swiss once, I love you, brother, but you did let a few go in the comment section. You know what I mean? A couple of curses popped out in the comment section, and we're not mad at you, but you just kind of got to control. And then he apologized about 47 times. And since then, he's never done it again, but he will throw just swear word, you know, in parentheses there.
Yep.
Space Diesel, good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
Awesome. Dazzlebug's in here. Blue's in here. Blue Dazzlebug's here.
I got a beautiful email. I got a beautiful, beautiful email from Blue Dazzlebug, and just recently responded to it. It says beautiful, beautiful thing.
I got one from Cultivate Kindness too, and it was an awesome email. I haven't said that out loud.
There's been a lot of them coming in.
Yeah,
there really has been a lot of them coming in, and I'll tell you something. There's no way to explain. There really isn't. And hey, I love you too, Lewis. I can't begin to tell you the joy that Mark and I get out of that. This is, I've said it so many times, and I know you guys are tired of hearing it, but this was a dream, of the two of us, that we were going to do this even if it failed. You understand that, right? We would be doing this if there was 3 of you here, and there were days, believe it, especially during that little hiatus when we were doing I was doing shows every day on Facebook for a while instead of YouTube, and we were doing shows for 2 people, and we'd be doing this for 2 people. We really would, Exactly. So, but to see it becoming what it's becoming, or what it has become, because it's been like this for a long time, but where everybody is helping everybody else, and everybody actually cares for everybody else, and everyone gets it. Everybody gets it. There's nobody on the lifeboat that doesn't understand. I think that really was the sort of the metamorphosis, was when we no longer had to say, here's, we're dreaming for, once we could stop saying all that crap, because it was, real obvious now, even to someone who shows up day one. You guys were really nice to a friend of mine who's actually local, who came here last week, and I saw him in person, and I said, hey, it was great to see you on the lifeboat. And he said, boy, you guys really got a very cool vibe thing going there. Everybody really seems to just love one another. And I just wanted to spike a football and dance around in circles, man, and yell curse word, right? And because truthfully, that's what we were going for, and it's here, and it's working, and man, just keep it up. Tell your friends and family.
In the emails, I want to say this too. When you guys are sending us emails, sharing really personal stuff with us, and you're looking for, advice from us, the fact that we're reading that is actually helping us in a,
no question.
Because we're learning from what you're saying, because we're just 2 guys, right? So we haven't been through everything that could possibly be going through. We've been through a lot. I'm not saying that we haven't. We got a lot of advice to lend, but the second that we think we know everything is the second we quit learning. And I think that's what's part of what's special about here. We're not afraid to say, hey, I didn't know that yet. Man, that was, thank you for saying that, because that taught me something. That kind of a thing. And it really is cool. And hi, Brandon.
And Cultivate Kindness has a cat that fetches things. If you've never seen the video of the cat in the basket doing her fetch, she is a machine. She is a fetching machine. I posted it up on the Safe Harbor page over on Facebook. It's probably still up there. Some really cool video of squirrel.
We've had
doing her thing.
We've had a lot of people ask how to get in touch. A couple people did tonight anyway. The lifeboat. Charlie's been posting our email and even the Facebook group. But the best thing to do if you want like a big group thing, or if you want to talk to somebody or trying to reach out to people on the crew, is to go through that Facebook group. Me and Tommy don't go there. That's a place for you guys.
Every once in a great while, I'll post something up there if we need to tell everybody, but we do not hang out there. That is all you guys.
But Daniel, it's good to see you here too. Full of hope. You're awesome. Jesse, all you guys. Seventh, Steve, you're just the bomb, man.
Daniel, really glad that you're here as well. And Daniel, make no mistake, that dog knows what's best for you, man. All right? You can do this.
Brazil?
Baby steps. Yeah, he's from South Brazil.
Didn't know that.
Baby steps, man. We don't want you cold turkey in it. Just start backing off. Right? We're not even asking you to quit. Start stepping it off. Stepping it off. He emailed me once. He told me how much he's drinking. Let's just start backing it up a little bit. Backing it up a little bit. Backing it up a little bit.
Yep.
Swiss Vape, I love you too, buddy. I really do.
Yeah.
Lewis Park says, just want to say I won't be here as much as I start a job on Monday and need to get a sleep pattern sorted out, as it's so late here in UK, but we'll pop in when I can. Love you guys. The good news, Lewis, is pop in whenever you can. Leave a comment for us, and we'll always fire back at you so we can still interact. We want to know how you're doing, right? And then maybe on your day off, you can catch one of the lives and let us know, because a lot of people praying for you, bud. A lot of people caring. So just keep us in the loop.
Yep.
And congratulations again on the new job. We are proud as heck of you.
It's awesome.
And that, people, brings us to the top of the hour. I know, because I'm wearing a watch.
No, you're not wearing no watch.
Nope, I got one on. I really had got one on. Roxana Mathis says, I'm becoming familiar with the others, but have not reached out personally. Would like to. So many kind individuals. I'm not on Facebook. Well, you can get there. You can get on Facebook. If not, keep reaching out to us. My email, my bobbleheaded partner's email. They're all there.
And sometimes we can connect you guys too. I mean, we can ask somebody else for you if you want a phone number or some other way to get a hold of them. We can do that. So
absolutely. So, people, we're going to be back 23 hours from now, right here, doing what we do, because we do it. It's what we do, right here. Same bad time, same bad channel tomorrow. Between now and then, you got about 23 hours. Reach out. Try to save somebody. It's what we do. It's the only assignment, right? And nothing else. No homework, no nothing. Just reach out and try to save somebody. And if that somebody is you, get on it, right? Exactly. We love you. I am Captain Tommy Scoville. On the other side of the glass,
Mark Wages.
And this, people, that is a cat in the basket. She was licking her lips. Good night, everybody. We love you.